just really proud of the guys for bouncing back today after a couple of heartbreaks of this past weekend. And, it sounds like a broken record, I know, but, there's no use dwelling on the past, and I told the guys when we got back from College Station after such a heartbreaking defeat, as heartbreaking as it ever can be, that you just can't do anything about the past. You have to seize the moment, and we didn't. We ended up losing the game, but the worst thing is if you let it drag into the next day or the next game or whatever. And we still have a lot to play for, and the guys went out there and played pretty well tonight, I thought. Obviously, we pitched great right from the start. Susie, Pitzer, Ashton, Marlott, they all did a tremendous job. The pitch is shut out. We played good defense behind them. We hit just enough to make it work. So I'm just really proud of the guys that they represented our university in such a great way tonight.
Hey, Ashton, what's been working for you so well lately? Kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start, and then things have been really picking up for you lately.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right now, I'd say my two-seam/sinker is working the most for me. I got a lot of good feel for it, and just like tonight, it was just dropping off the table.
Sticking with that, how much did that outing at A&M for you on Thursday do for your confidence going into tonight and the rest of the season?
It helped me a lot going out there against A&M and pitching how I pitched. It boosted my confidence up a lot, and then that's translated over to tonight, which helped me do good.
How much easier does it make things for you when Jackson's going out there and pitching the way he did in front of you?
A lot easier. He did good. Pitzer did good. Just coming in after guys like that, dealing, carving, just makes it a lot easier to come in and get it done.
As a pitching staff, how did tonight help boost all of your confidence shutout game after the weekend?
I think it helped us a lot coming in after Texas A&M. It was a little rocky weekend, and I think tonight really gave us the boost that we needed going into Ole Miss. Thank you.
Kind of sticking with Claire's question there, how good was it just to see your pitching staff put up 9-0 tonight, just kind of flush the weekend going into another big series this weekend?
Yeah. It's hard to win college baseball games. I've been doing it for a lot of years, and, I'm not sure how many times I've coached a team that's blown a 10-run lead, but it can happen. When you're playing these teams in this league and the ballparks are small and the wind's galing out and they get a little momentum going. When we got back from the game, we flew right back after, and I met with the guys in the locker room, and I said, I know this may sound crazy to you all, but I didn't even think we were pitching that bad in the 8th and 9th innings. And, they had a little good fortune, and then they had some really good at-bats, and they hit a ball. First grand slam was, I thought it was just a fly ball to center field, and it just got up in the gale and just blew out of there. I've seen that happen a lot of times at Texas A&M. The wind's always blowing there. And, Caleb came in and, got the leadoff hitter in their order, which was a big out. And then he gives up a bloop single, and then he strikes out the 3-hole hitter. So, he was pitching good. And then he pitched, the next two guys real carefully, which, both those guys were hurting us all weekend. And unfortunately, the guy turned around a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. And, I really didn't think Caleb pitched that bad. And I didn't think that Sweeney did either. And, somehow we ended up, blowing the lead. But, I thought the kids played their hearts out, on game 1 and then game 3. The middle game was, I think, an aberration to our season. We just got in such a big hole right away, and, they just ended up putting us away. But, I told the kids after the second game over there, I said, I gave him a short talk after the game. I just said, you'll show what you're made of by what you do going out there tomorrow, what kind of effort you put forth. And they played their hearts out, the whole game. We had a bunch of clutch hits. We played hard, played great. And, we're thinking about run rule on them there practically. And next thing you know, we're going home with a loss. It was really an amazing thing. But that can happen to a lot of pitching staffs. Texas A&M was the preseason #1 team in the country for a reason. They got a powerful lineup. And in that ballpark, when the wind's galing out, it's really hard to get outs, especially when, some of their hitters were really hot. And it was tough on us all weekend. So to go out there tonight, I don't care who the opponent is. You go out there and you pump a lot of strikes. I don't know how many walks we had tonight. Do you know, Kent? Did we really? We walked 7 batters? Pitching. Yeah. 3. Okay. I was making the point of our pitchers throwing the ball over the plate, which was really refreshing. After walking so many batters this past weekend, to go out there and make them earn it. And we made a lot of good pitches tonight and played good defense behind them. And we didn't hit great, but we fortunately had the one good rally, and Scobie hit a ball into the bullpen, so it was enough.
Few quick player questions for you. Nolan Naraki getting back in the lineup tonight. What kind of changed with that? And then Nathan Hall, how you feeling about him? And then Brandon Stone hasn't pitched since, I think, Mississippi State. What's kind of the reason for that?
Well, let's go back to the first one, Naraki. So I met with Naraki before we left for College Station, and he had just gotten back from going to see a doctor up in New York. He went to get a second opinion on his knees, and we discussed his options, and we actually talked about why his knees were hurting him so much, and he was explaining to me that it was a lot of change of direction that really hurt him, which as an infielder, that's going to happen. You have a lot of quick stops and, go the other direction. So we actually started to discuss a position change for him, possibly moving to the outfield. So, he's a really fast runner. People don't realize for a big man how fast he can move. So I said, look, if your knees, before you have to make a decision on the surgery, why don't you go out and work in the outfield, while we're gone. We have a machine called Fungo Man that can throw fly balls. And I said, somebody that's here can do that, and you can, take some fly balls and see how instinctive it is, how easy it is to judge balls, whatever. So anyway, we got back from the trip, and I talked to him, I guess Monday, or maybe it was before practice Tuesday. No, excuse me. It was either Sunday or it was before practice on Monday. And, he worked out 4 days in a row while we were gone out on the field. In fact, I saw him starting to go work out as we were going to get on the bus to leave for College Station last Wednesday. So when I talked to him, I said, did you work out while we were gone? He said, yeah, I hit and took fly balls every day. I said, how your knees feel? And he said, they feel great. So anyway, he took batting practice yesterday with our team. I mean, he went through a full practice, and man, he's hitting balls off the batter's eye. Like, he must have hit a half a dozen balls off the batter's eye and out of the ballpark. And I thought, let's see. I was hoping he'd go in there tonight and hit a few balls hard, and it'd be something we'd continue with. Now, I got to reevaluate it. He didn't really look great tonight. His timing, I think, was off, whatever. So, I don't know if I'm going to throw him in there against Hunter Elliott on Thursday, after not having played. But, I thought, why not give it a look and see, see if you're going to hit enough to play the outfield, and if that's something that maybe we can pursue. So it's a work in progress. We're going to see, Jack, if that's something that we'll continue to look at. As far as Nathan Hall goes, he's getting better. He went back on one of the balls that was a home run in game 2 over there, and he whacked his foot against the wall and basically his heel. So, we've looked at it, we've MRI'd it, the whole thing. We just think it's a strain of the Achilles. tendon. There's no damage to it or anything. He could barely walk with a limp the next day, but it's progressively gotten better and better. So it's going to be a game, probably a game time decision whether or not he can go on Thursday or not. Maybe if he can't play center field, he can DH. I'm not sure yet. And as far as Brandon Stone goes, there's nothing wrong with him. We just chose to use other guys in those situations. He was available on Sunday or Saturday, but I thought the other guys were the better guys to use in those situations. But we'll announce our rotation tomorrow for this weekend, but Brandon Stone will be a part of that.
Henry Kazmar with 2 hits tonight, including a 2-out double.
Yeah.
Can you talk about maybe challenging him to go into that leadoff spot? He also has a 20-game on-base streak, how he's kind of thrived there.
Yeah, you probably just jinxed him, by the way, but that's okay. Henry had a really slow start to the season, and he's actually gotten better as we started the SEC schedule. I mean, it doesn't take a long memory to remember when he was hitting in the low 100s, playing all the non-conference teams at the beginning of the schedule. And it's like once we started into SEC play, he's just been swinging the bat so much better with confidence. And, early in the year, he wasn't even hitting the ball good in batting practice. And now, he looks like the guy that, we saw when we decided to recruit him. And he's just been tremendous, not only offensively, but his defense has been outstanding. He's just playing the way that we thought he would play. But he got off to a slow start. But he's leading our team in hitting in SEC games. He's hit some home runs. He's driven in, I think, more runs than anybody on our team in SEC games. He led off at Ohio State during his career there. And we started the season with him hitting in the 2-hole here. And when he really started to struggle, I just wanted to take a lot of pressure off of him. So I moved him down in the order, and he really flourished in the 9-hole. But he's much better than being a 9-hole hitter. And when Nathan went down, it seemed like the natural move to put him in the leadoff spot, and he's continued to do very well there. So I'm really proud of Henry, and hopefully he'll keep it up the rest of the year.
Just a kind of more in general question for you, Paul. I noticed Terry and you have kind of taken mound visits, maybe when guys are, doing well, striking out guys, as opposed to maybe when they're, falling behind in counts, throwing a lot of balls. I'm just curious, is there kind of like a reason for that?
You mean changing pitchers?
No. Just like going out to like make a mound visit, just talk with them.
Well, when Terry's one that goes out there typically, I don't think I've done that. Yeah. So I think it's more to do with how he wants to attack the next hitter in the situation that we're in, and just kind of getting the pitcher to refocus on the next batter after he's, done well against the previous guy, and just make sure that he's got his game plan for what he wants to do with the next guy. It's just more strategy than anything. I thought you were talking about after Susie got the guy out and I brought in Pitzer. Yeah, I just let Susie in to get the left-hander and then planned on changing.
So you're going into the second half of SEC play. I'm sure you're like to forget about the first half for the most part, but knowing what you've gone through.
Understatement of the day.
Yeah. Knowing what you've kind of gone through, but what you've seen from this team, can you guys be a spoiler in the second half? You see this team perhaps maybe being a dangerous team for some in the second half?
It's a good question. I really appreciate the way you phrase that. I don't really want to be anybody's spoiler. I only care about our own team and, getting this program to where we want it to be. And, listen, you are what you are. We're 2-13 in conference play. We played 3 of the 5 series on the road at some pretty difficult places. And, Arkansas swept us and Texas A&M swept us. We won 1 out of 3 at Mississippi State. And we had 2 home series. And one of those home series was against the defending national champion, who was number 1 in the country at the time. So it's been a really ridiculously difficult schedule, obviously. It always is in the SEC, but it just seemed like these first 5 weekends were something even beyond that. But if you really go back and analyze it, and I've said this before the season, I'm sure you all remember, that your season gets defined by how you do in the close games, in the one and two run games. You know, in Game 3 against Oklahoma, after we split the first 2 games, we had a 2-run lead going to the 9th inning. We gave up 2 and then a home run in the 10th inning. Obviously, we were in a position to win that game. You know, you go to Arkansas, you know, they're unbelievably powerful team. It was like playing Texas A&M in College Station, playing Arkansas in Fayetteville. And they were just all over our pitching. But then the Game 3, you know, we got a tie game in the 8th inning, and I think we had the bases loaded and 1 out. And a chance to take the lead, and if you get 6 outs, you win the game. Okay, who knows what would have happened? But we don't get the run in, and then, you know, we bring in our closer and they, you know, walk, 2-run homer. And the score was not indicative of the kind of game it was. We were right there. And so there's 2 games, right? And then Tennessee, you know, you remember the game where Brandon Stone was in the game at the end? I mean, after 6 innings, we brought in Brandon. I was like, this exactly as I dreamt it up. You know, our starting pitcher pitched great for 6 innings. We got a lead going into the 7th inning. And he gets a clean 7th inning. And then in the 8th inning, they hit a 2-run homer. We came back and tied the game, had a chance to take the lead, or maybe we did take the lead. I can't remember. And then in the 9th inning, the kid hits a home run, and we end up losing. And then you go to Mississippi State, and we had a chance to win a game there. Or we did win a game. We had a chance to win another game. And then this past weekend, I mean, we lost 2 walk-off games. So I'm not saying it's closer than it appears. I'm just saying that there was 5 or 6 games there that were in the balance that could have gone the other direction. And if you turn around 3 of those games or 4 of those games, you know, you're not proud of being, you know, 5-10 or 6-9 or 7-8, but you're got your head above water. You know what I mean? And we just have been snake bit, and we just haven't been able to close out games. And, you know, some of that is, you know, the opponent, the quality of the opponent, the environment that you're in, and some of it is our own fault. And, you know, so listen, the kids showed that they're not giving up. You know, we came back again and played a good game after a difficult loss, after a difficult weekend. And we're going to go out there Thursday night against against Ole Miss, and we're going to play as hard as we possibly can. We're going to compete as hard as we can. Ole Miss is another top 10 team coming in, you know. So, listen, they got tremendous talent, great arms, great lineup, and you know, we're just going to take it one game at a time. It's all you can do is just keep encouraging the kids and going out there and fighting like crazy. And that's what we're going to do for the rest of the year. I think we have, 18 games left? Is that right? 5 series and 3 more midweek games. And we're just going to fight like crazy. And then we get to go to the SEC tournament. And, you know, my goal has always been for our teams to get better as the year goes on. We have a chance to do that. We'll see how it goes. Okay.